Hello, Hopper class. Mrs. Savage here, and welcome to your next science lesson. So this will be lesson 3 in our unit about plants. Now today is our investigation lesson, so we're going to be doing some planting. So let me share my screen with you and we can get started. So our objective today is, can I plant my bean? What does our plant need to grow? Do you remember from last week we talked about 5 things that our plant needs to grow? Can you remember what they are? Have a think. Did you remember all 5? So it needs air, sun, water, space, and soil. So well done if you remembered those 5 facts about a plant. Now today, we are going to be using water and soil, making some space, having air, and hopefully some sunshine. So let's start our investigation. So we are going to be growing a beanstalk. How exciting. If we were at school, you would all get to grow a beanstalk. And you're going to be observing it. You'd be observing it over the whole half term to watch it grow. So as we are at home, we are going to be planting a beanstalk as a class, so with me. So now, if you have all the resources at home to plant a beanstalk or to do some planting, then please go ahead and do some planting as well. So what I need you to have for this lesson is I need you to have a piece of paper, just a blank piece of paper and a pencil and any coloring pens or crayons or anything that you have as well. So we'll be using that at the end of our lesson. So I'm going to show you what our investigation sheet would look like if we were at school. So if we were at school, you'd be given an investigation sheet like this. So it has our prediction at the top. It has our 4 observations. This is week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And then it has our conclusion, has what happened. So today we're going to be doing our prediction and be looking at week 1. So let's start our investigation. So what are we going to do? What is our question? We are going to be planting our bean. So that's what we're doing today. And what do we need? Well, in order to plant, we need to have a planting pot. You need to have some seeds. We need some soil. Oh, my watering can. I left it in the other room. Oh, I have a watering can and we need to have space. So let's go ahead. Oh, my watering can. Oh, it's too bad. Well, so before we plant our bean, what I want you to do is I want you to make a prediction. So your prediction is, what do you think is going to happen? So first, what do you think will happen to our bean? So what I would like you to do is pause the video, and then I would like you to write a sentence about what you think is going to happen when we plant our bean. So your sentence might say, I think the bean will, and then you could put because, if you can explain why you think it will happen. So pause the video here, write your sentence, or tell your sentence to your adult, and then we'll continue. And I'm just going to run and get my watering can. I'll be back in 1 second. Sorry, I've got my watering can now. So now I've got my watering can to plant my bean. So did you write your predictions? Perfect. Okay, so let's start. So now we're going to plant our bean. Now the reason why we are planting a bean is because we are learning about Jack and the beanstalk in English. And what does Jack climb up to get to the top? he climbs up his beanstalk to get to the top of a castle. At the top of his beanstalk is a castle. So if we were at school, you'd all be drawing a little castle to stick into our bean plant. So I've done one beforehand. I just drew a castle and I've put it on a stick. So if you'd like to, you can draw a castle as well, but you don't need to. So let's plant our bean. So let's move the camera back so that you can see exactly what we are doing. Okay, so I've got my tray here. It has all the things we need for our experiment. So what we're going to do first is we're going to put in a bit of soil into our pot. So here's my pot. It's empty right now. So I'm going to put a bit of soil in first before I put in my bean. Now we're using kidney beans, and what I did beforehand is I put the kidney beans in some water and I kept it in overnight. And this helps with the process of the bean to grow. It makes it grow a little bit faster. So I'm going to fill up my potting pot with a bit of soil. Now let me just show you. So here are some beans. You can see that I've got, as you can see, they're in water. So these ones are soaking. So I will use those ones next time. But for this experiment, I'm going to use the ones that I soaked yesterday. So I'm going to take some of these beans that I have soaked, and I'm going to put 3 of them in my pot. Okay, so I've now got 3 beans in my pot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit more soil on top so that it fills it all up. Now, what's going to happen to the bean? That was your prediction. What do you think? So now that I've got my pot of soil with my soil and my beans inside, just for fun, I am going to stick in my castle. So this is going to be in my bean plant, and I'm hopefully going to watch the bean plant grow up the stick up to the castle where the giant lives. Now, also what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to plant another bean, but I'm going to do it in a jar this time. So I've got a glass jar. And why I'm doing this is because I want us to be able to see the bean inside and to see what it is actually doing. And when I've got the seed in a pot, it's really tricky because you can't really see. So for this part of the experiment, you take a jar. I'm going to just take a bit of paper towel or kitchen roll, as you call it in the United Kingdom, and I am going to stick it inside my glass jar. So just like that. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to put some of these beans that I soaked, I'm going to put some on the outside of the paper towel. So I'm going to put them down like that. So hopefully what will happen is the bean will start to grow and we will get a chance to see it. So also what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a bit of soil in the inside. And then what do I need to do after I have put the soil in? I've got my beans in. So for both of my bean plants, what does my plant need now? Let's go through the 5 things. We've put soil. We have made sure it has lots of space. We're going to give it some sunlight by putting it near the window. What does it not have yet? Water. Well done. And that is where my lovely little watering can comes in. So then I'm going to put some water in both of my plants, and then we are going to leave them. Now, tomorrow, or the next time we have science, we're going to have another look at our bean. And what we're going to do is every week, we're going to have a look. Let me just move you closer now. Every week, we are going to look at our bean and we're going to see and measure how much it is growing. So because today is the first day of our experiment, we're going to call it week 1. So let me share my screen with you again. And we're going to do the next part. So if you have anything at home to plant, you're more than welcome to plant any type of plant if you would like to. If you have different type of seeds, and you can use those, and you can have a look at those as well. So our next slide is, how are we going to know if our beanstalk is growing? What do we need to do? And how can we keep our beanstalk healthy? Have a think. Now, do I need to water my beanstalk every day and have a check? I do. Now, I don't want the soil to get too soggy because then it could get a bit moldy. So I'm only going to water my bean plant when the soil gets to be a bit dry. Also, I need to make sure that my bean plant is near the sun. So I might put my plant near the window so that the sun can come through and help it grow. So let's have a look at what I want you to do. So this is our first week of our bean that we have planted. So finally, let's have a look at our bean. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to draw what we have so far. So all we have so far is we've got a planting pot, and all you can see, all you can see is soil. So what I would like you to do is in your, on your blank piece of paper, underneath where you've written your observation, I want you just to write week 1, and then draw me a picture of the planting pot and just the soil, because we can't see anything yet. So if you'd like to pause the video, you can pause it here, and you can draw your picture of what you can see. Okay, now for the end of our lesson. So each week we are going to observe the bean and see what is happening. This is part of our science, working scientifically skills. So one of the skills we need to do in year 1 is observing plants change over time. That's why each week we're going to be looking at the bean and look and observe how it's changing over time. So I'm really looking forward to seeing our beanstalk grow. Now, for our next science lesson, what I would like you to try and get is if you could get a flower. So it just has to be one flower, and it could be real if possible. So maybe if you're out for a walk, or if you can find one, if you can just pick a flower, bring it home, and we will use it for our next science lesson. Or maybe if you have some fresh flowers, you could ask your mom or dad or someone at home if you can just have one for our next science lesson. Don't worry if you don't have one or if you can't find one. I know there's a few winter flowers out there. They're quite small, but that's fine. All you need to do is just have a little flower with some petals. If it can have a leaf, that's great. But if not, or just the little leaves, that's okay. So if you can get a flower for the next science lesson, that'd be great. So I am going to keep an eye on our beans. I'm going to make sure that they are watering. On Tapestry, if you would like to send me some reminders to say, Mrs. Savage, remember to water the bean. And maybe what we'll do is I'll take photos as well for you and upload them on Tapestry so you can see how the bean is doing. So I hope that, stop sharing. I hope you've enjoyed planting the bean today, and I can't wait to see what happens, to see it growing. So I hope that you've enjoyed that lesson, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care, bye.